Hey there, it's Larissa. What's going on? What's going on, right? What's going on? Hey guys, it's Larissa Lee, nutrition and detox guru. I had to do a little dance there really quick. Nutrition and detox guru for you, the busy driven woman who is ready to gain her healthy rocking bod. So you want to burn fat faster and skyrocket some energy, not some energy, but some serious energy. All through plant-based nutrition, you are in the right place. And guys, plant-based nutrition still means you can have animal protein, right? It just simply means that you get the majority of your nutrients from plant sources. This is what gives us life, right? Energy, fat gain, healthiness, plant-based nutrition. Yes, we get life from eating things that are alive. So, guys, welcome. We are talking about your gut tonight and why it's so important with fat loss, energy, and just having a healthful body and life overall. Yes. All right, guys. So, in case you didn't know, we have 100 trillion bacteria. I think that's the plural, bacteria. Bacteria, I think. Within this whole realm right here on our body, most of that is concentrated in our guts. Also important to note that our immune system, 70% of that is concentrated right here, if you can see, in our guts. Our guts also has nervous system capabilities. It's also like its own brain, guys. There's a lot going on right here. And when you are talking about a clean bill of health, more energy, controlling weight gain, dealing with metabolism, autoimmune diseases, food intolerances, it all starts right here in the guts. All things healthiness of your body starts right here and radiates on out. So there have been so many types of bacteria within our body, right? And we need it so much. It's such a symbiotic relationship that we actually have bacterial DNA within our own DNA. Now, it's important that you have the right bacteria in your gut so that the DNA within your cells is working appropriately. So, guys, our immune system and the bacteria within our gut work together to help it maintain a protective environment, because we often think of our gut, our colon, our small intestines as being in the inside of our body, but it's actually still the outside. It's where the outside world comes into contact with our bloodstream. There's a thin layer, a thin mucosal lining that separates the outside food particles, the bacteria, the pathogens that come into contact with our gut daily from, getting absorbed into our bloodstream, because that lining it's filled heavily with capillaries. They're just ready to suck up all those good nutrients and bad nutrients, depending on what we're eating, and readily absorb them into our bloodstream to make energy and to fuel our body and to, start to make different cells out of those things. So we need to make sure that this relationship is working appropriately. Now, in order for it to be working appropriately, we know, and I'm sure most of us have heard, that you need to have a good ratio of good bacteria compared to bad bacteria. And in this relationship, with these two types of bacteria, they're competing with each other. They're competing for space within your gut. So you want to make sure that the person who is going to help you out the most is going to win in that competition. And in order for them to win in that competition, you need to be feeding your body the right forms of food. Now, unfortunately, processed foods, which our society thrives heavily on today, sugars, unrefined grains such as pastas, breads, things like that, rice, are foods that help to promote the proliferation or the growth of these bad types of bacteria. And when we have the overgrowth of these bad types of bacteria, we can't have both of them. Like, one has to be the majority, right? So if we're feeding ourselves, ultimately we're also feeding the bacteria within us. We want to be making sure that we're feeding it the right forms of food so that good bacteria can ultimately grow. So when we have the right ratio, these good bacteria also help to promote our immune response within this gut area, because we need to understand, like, this place needs to be heavily lined and heavily on, because again, we are coming into contact with the outside world. And when everything is working kosher, like when everything is working correctly, these cells within our gut lining are held very tightly together, right? They're held tightly together so that unwanted particles cannot get into our bloodstream and wreak havoc. So within these cells holding tightly together, they're called tight junctions that hold our gut lining cells together. They're held very tight. There are channels within those cells that allow for the right nutrients, the right digestive food particles to be attached and drawn in from the outside to the inside so that we can use them to build our organs and, fuel our body. But what happens is when we have the bad bacteria and good bacteria competing with each other and the overgrowth of bad bacteria win, what happens is, like, the bad bacteria are competing for nutrients. So they take the nutrients, they also attach to our gut lining. And what happens is they cause those tight junctions not to be so compacted anymore, and they cause them to loosen up. And when we have this loosening up, we no longer have that protective barrier that we need to protect us from the outside world. Hi, Corey, what's up? So we no longer have that protective lining to protect us anymore. So what happens is we get undigested food particles, we get bacteria, and we get pathogens that otherwise wouldn't be crossing that barrier into our body. And this is called leaky gut. If you guys have never ever heard of this, it's called leaky gut syndrome, which I'm sure you guys have heard. It's kind of a popular term now. So what happens is, now that the immune system within our gut wasn't able to protect us because we don't have the symbiotic relationship between the good bacteria and the immune system, which helps to promote that integrity there, we have bad bacteria which wreak havoc, right? We have the immune system within our body now trying to mount a response to protect us from these undigested food particles, because your body doesn't recognize food if it's not digested properly. We now have these pathogens, and we now have these bacteria that our body mounts an immune response against. So when this happens, they're attacking that food or the bacteria, but since it's happening systemically through the whole system, your body starts to feel that with arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, aches and pains, irritability, fatigue, food intolerances. So if you are a person who has a lot of food intolerances, you're not necessarily allergic, but you're intolerant to a lot of different foods, gluten being one of them, you probably have leaky gut syndrome. So these are things that start to happen when the gut lining is compromised, guys. So this goes unchecked for a while, then autoimmune diseases start to develop. So we need to really be vigilant in looking out for our gut and the bacteria within it, because it's not only, helping them, but it's ultimately helping us. So I just wanted to come on and share that with you guys really quick about the importance of treating your gut properly, because again, if you're not treating your gut properly, you're just doing a detriment to your health, because it all starts from here. And I wanted to say something as well. There was a study that was done in lab rats where they took away 4 crucial good bacteria that we need to have in our gut. They eradicated it completely. One of those bacterial strands was called lactobacillus, which is a popular one that many of us may know. They eradicated that from their gut lining completely, and what they noticed is that the rats start to have metabolic changes that cause them to have uncontrollable spikes in blood sugar, as well as started to pass on fat. Like these rats were unable to control their fat gain. Now, guys, this is crucial for us as well, because this happened, like, we study animals, we study rats because it's very similar to the human body. So if you guys are eating foods that wipe out those bacteria, like I said, processed foods, sugar, refined carbs on the regular, right? This is what happens. Like, your body's unable to control your blood sugar, and your body's unable to control fat gain, right? You need to really focus on that gut area so that you can promote health overall. And there's one other thing I wanted to say. So if you're a person thinking, no, that's not me, my gut is totally fine, I'm good, but let's run down a checklist to see kind of what you've experienced in your life that can compromise the good bacteria. Now, if you were a person, were you a person who was born by C-section? Check for me. Were you a person that was fed formula instead of breastfeeding? Check for me. Were you a person who has been on prolonged antibiotics? Check for me. Are you a person who regularly eats like heavily contaminated foods that are laden with pesticides? That was me. Like, I'm sure that could be you as well. So, like, those are heavy hitters, guys, because if you're a person who was born from C-section, when a baby comes through the vaginal canal, they are inhaling bacteria from that whole process that allows for their gut to be proliferated or have growth of good bacteria when they're starting out with life. If you're a person that has been, delivered through C-section, that gut bacteria comes from the mother's skin, which is a totally different type of bacteria than getting the proper bacteria the other way. Also, if you're a person who is fed on formula and not through breastfeeding, again, that's another way for babies to get crucial bacteria to help them out later on in life. If you are a person who's getting antibiotics, guys, probiotics actually means for life. Antibiotics, anti-life. Really takes a hit on your gut lining, like on your gut bacteria, guys. So you have to be careful with that. Also, pesticide-laden foods, like they kill insects. Why wouldn't they kill the bacteria in your gut? All these things contribute to this. Medications. So we need to be conscious. Again, like obviously all these things like are uncontrollable. Like some of this stuff you can't control. It's just life. But it's very important to make sure you're eating a high fiber diet. Feeding your body with leafy greens, nice fruits, colorful vegetables, things like nuts and seeds that are able to give your body the fiber and the nutrients that it needs to help the good bacteria grow and be plentiful throughout your gut. So I just wanted to come on and share that quick with you guys after I got my thoughts together. Sometimes, I forget because I want to share everything. But thank you guys for joining, and I will see you guys next time.